One of the things that one worries about in putting the common law together is whether or not you can reduce it to a series of relatively simple rules. And the answer, generally speaking, is yes. With respect to property, the basic rule is that prior in time is higher in right, so that those people who take possession first essentially are allowed to keep it against all subsequent takers. This means, in effect, that once the property rights are established, no individual is entitled to disrupt them. The second principle on voluntary contract and exchange says, in effect, that if you make an agreement with somebody else for the distribution of services on the one hand or property on the other, and both of you agree with the arrangement, then in effect it's going to be for your mutual gain. And if you can do this with two people, you could do it with many transactions. So the genius of the contract law is that you could take any given set of entitlements and use contracts to move them to higher and better use. Now, the system of property and the system of contract has to be protected against outsiders who would like to wreck it by the use of force or by the use of fraud. And so what we do is we develop rules of trespass on the one hand, rules dealing with the interference with advantageous relationships on the other, either by force or by defamation, in order to solidify the first two parts. So the basic overview of the particular system is that the property rules get things into play, the contracts rules put them to their best use, and the tort rules make sure that no outsider can disrupt what voluntary systems have put together. This means, in effect, that once the property rights are established, no individual is entitled to disrupt them. The key point to understand here is many of these rules, when they were first announced, were thought to be simply creatures of natural law without further explanation. The great achievement here was that the early lawyers managed to put this system together without any of the modern tools of social sciences, and what we can do now in retrospect is to take those tools and to explain how it is that natural law principles actually serve the interests of human welfare and human utility.